I found myself outside Hannaford just before 7 a.m. this past Friday when they opened. There were a few other folks waiting outside with me, and we were all crabbing about how everyone was losing their head in a pucker, stocking up on baked beans and Allen's coffee brandy. We were making toilet paper jokes and so on. Until the young woman whose job it was to come unlock the door came to unlock the door. And then things got real quiet. We politely deferred to folks who were there in line before us, no one wanting to seem like they were part of the crowd, no one wanting to seem like one of those people that we had just been poking some lighthearted fun at. I calmly picked up a basket and walked over to the frozen food aisle, where I scored the last 3 bags of frozen peas. We didn't read this story this week, but it certainly forms part of the backdrop of the stories we did read. The cleansing of the temple, the overturning of the tables of the money changers and the seats of those who sold doves to the poorest of the poor. Jesus was teaching and saying, "Is it not written, 'My house shall be called a house of prayer for all peoples,' but you have made it a den of thieves and robbers." And when the chief priests and the scribes heard it, the story goes, they kept looking for a way to kill him, for they were afraid of him, because the whole crowd was spellbound by his teaching. In the lessons we heard today, fear and crowds also loom large. When Jesus puts it back on the temple leadership about John the Baptist, whom they had killed, the story says, they were afraid of the crowd, for all regarded John as truly a prophet. And again, when these folks realized that Jesus told the parable of the wicked tenants against them, they wanted to arrest him, but they feared the crowd. And so they leave him and they go away. It's important to know about the Greek word the gospel uses for the word crowds. The word is aklos. It means crowds, yes, but the word is used by folks in power to describe those on the margins. It has a negative connotation. The translation would be more true to the word if it said, they feared the unwashed masses. Or perhaps in our current context, if it said, they feared the 99%. The aklos are the folks who are responding to Jesus' message. They aren't the ones who are following him and supporting him. And as we read today, their very presence is protecting him. Those in power fear the power of the people, and it keeps them for the moment from doing what they want to do, arresting Jesus for calling them out on their collusion with the empire. Yes, I know. With Holy Week approaching, someone always says that it was those same crowds who turned on him. I've often said it myself. The same word, aklos, is used. But this should not surprise us. We see even in our own times how powerless people, those who are afraid, might be easily manipulated into supporting and even defending those in power who are oppressing them. And so here we are, the crowds, having to adjust, having to change the way we are living because people are dying. This, of course, is what is happening every day. It's been happening every day of our lives. People have been dying from poverty and its evil companion, addiction. People have been dying from hunger, from lack of universal health care, from environmental degradation, from injustice and war. People have been dying, and our lives haven't changed. And now people are dying, and our lives have to change. The tables have been overturned. Our routines have been upset. And instead of being the ones that Jesus might have relied upon to protect him, to protect the least of these, many of us are afraid of what we don't know. We're afraid of what we might happen, even afraid of each other. Like Jesus' parable, our fear is exposing what we haven't done for others all along. When the owner of the vineyard comes, what will they do? Mary Ludy, in a UCC daily devotional this week, wrote these words, and I think they're worth quoting in their entirety. It's good. Mary Ludy. The Bible is always telling us not to be afraid, and that's because there's so much real stuff to be afraid of. Like now, as shelves empty, markets tank, leaders dither, and old people die in a day. Life is scary enough in ordinary times. It's much scarier now, so the Bible exhorts us again, do not be afraid. And yet people are. Even Bible-believing people. Some are downright terrified, enough to hoard enough toilet paper to last until 2039. And like clockwork in our nasty age, they get roundly mocked on social media, called out as irrational, impervious to scientific information, bad, stupid, and wrong. Maybe you're heeding both the Bible and good scientific information. Maybe you're feeling reassured and calm. Maybe you're side-eyeing the panicky too. But here's the thing. Fear is fear, and human beings are what we are. All of us by nature are vulnerable and exposed. So admit it. Aren't you just a little bit afraid? No matter how much you know or how often you wash, don't you also fear foreboding? I know I do. A drastic spike in the infection rate could find me searching for a case of Charmin, too. It would be great if we were all at our rational best right now, but we're not. It would be optimal if we all rose brilliantly to the occasion, but we won't. So the next best thing is to dismount our high horses, summon some empathy for that quavering place inside us where we too feel afraid, cut each other some slack, and just be kind. End quote. Fact is, folks, we've had to practice social distancing all along. We've been practicing social distancing all along. We thought that we could keep the people of the world at a distance, but now that we might actually have to do it, may we see our neighbors in a new light and not distant from us at all. We are one world. First, this virus is going to drive us apart, but then I think we're going to heed its lessons, and those lessons will bring us closer. The Spirit will bring us even closer to each other. As we faithfully come to terms with the fact that the crowds are us and we are them, let us not turn on each other. Let us turn toward each other with compassion for those who are afraid, because that's us too, and we know what we are capable of. The next time we're tempted to look down on a mother who has fled Guatemala to come here with her children to be safe, remember, we fought over toilet paper. Before it is over, even Jesus will have a moment where he wishes it would all go away, and the crowds turn, and he is dead. May those in power be afraid of us as we protect those on the margins of our community, as we serve them, as we touch them. This is a house of prayer for all nations, and we have toilet paper to share. That's the Spirit that will see us through this time, the Spirit that was modeled, that was embodied by Jesus, his way of generosity, openness, service, kindness, healing, compassion, love. Every time we turn around in the Gospels, Jesus is touching the untouchable, speaking with the unspeakable, sharing table fellowship with the unloved, building the beloved community which extends down through time to us, here and now. If we pay attention to the lessons that we are being taught in these days, the possibility is there for God to do the same through us. Let us go and do likewise. Amen. Hear the word of the Lord through the prophet Isaiah. Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be afraid, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. I will help you. I will uphold you with my victorious right hand. Amen. As you leave, please greet each other with a virus-informed, appropriate sign of Christ's peace. May the peace of Christ be with you all.